We Nemean can understand the sea, and we can tell if it's safe to set sail or not by just listening to her. But at times, it's different. The sound of waves coming from the shore. But I could tell that something was off. She was not herself. I tried to listen to her, but all I heard is furies, madness, and destructions. Can you imagine that this ruin used to be where one of the greatest minds in Aussie live? Across our journeys as adventurers, I believe that the sight of ruined cities has become the norm for us. But still, we cannot ignore the fact that all of these ruins that we came across were once a thriving cities that used to fill with life and soul. And this one is no exception. And this is what used to be the city of Nim, the birthplace of Scholar. It was the 5th Azov era. The city started as a small trading outpost up north on the islands of Wilbran. But due to its geographic locations, which is perfectly suited for ocean tradings, that small trading outpost eventually grew into a major trading cities. However, their population doesn't grow as big as their wealth, and so does their military presence. Thus, in order to protect their homelands, the people of Nim choose the qualities over quantities approach when coming to their fighters. Nim is known for their small but fearsome naval force composed of elite frontline marauders and backline support scholars. These perfect blends of brute force and brilliant mind is the main reason why these small trader nations can stand among the chaos of the War of the Magi. Scholar can be called as the backbones of Nemean militaries, even though they are few in number when compared to the marauders. But because of their intense educations in ancient art of war and their unique twist on ancient branch of magic, a single scholar can turn the tide of a battle when you see one on the battlefield. Their quick wit and carefully calculated strategies had proved to be effective times and times again, as no matter how many times the Magis try to invade their soil, it always ends the same, a victory to Nemean. By strength alone, scholars are no match to black mages, but when strategies come into play, the scale is always tipped into the scholar side. Realizing that, the Magi decided to use a dirty trick by sending a spy in the forms of disguised poison to spread a disease to wipe Nemean from the inside. The disease that is known as a green death, which turned anyone who caught in it into a thornberry. The trick was effective as the Nemean fall to this disease one by one, and eventually, nobody is left to continue the legacies of Scholar. And with the city of Nim out of the pictures, the Magi then are free to turn all of their attentions to Amdapur. But before the victors of this war is finally decided, the cloud gather above their heads, the sea rises beyond the wall, and in a blink of an eye, all the civilization is devoured by a great flood of 6 unbroken calamities. The art of Scholar then become a lost spellcraft. Until people discovered that the Thornberry from the 5th Azov era is still alive thanks to their unique transformation, which slow their aging. People from Lim Salominsa then began to make contact with them. Soon after, the Thornberry started to teach the practice of Scholar to those who are interested, in the hope to pass on this dying art and continue its legacy. But other than the exceptional thinking in battle, what makes them special is the special branch of magic that they use, which is called Arcanima. Arcanima is the arcane practice of employing arcane geometries to gather around ambient ether and its user ether in conjunctions to create a spell according to the combination of glyph that the user employ. For example, if I use this particular combination of glyphs, I'll get a protection spell that shields the target with ether. Or if I use these combinations, I'll get an empower spell that enhances the next spell that I cast. Pretty convenient, right? Although it is true that the art of Arcanima does not require the user to be able to create this glyph, however, like many academic fields, knowing how to use it is enough, but the deeper understanding allows improvisations and adjustment on the field. Let's say if I were to cast a Sacred Soil, but want to reduce its size to increase its protection effects. I cannot do that if I don't truly understand the craft behind it. Then the question is, What is the craft that allowed this to happen?
Mathematics is the cornerstone of the specific branch of magics, as the glyph or the arcane geometry is based on mathematical calculations that describe the way how the ether moves. This craft started back in the second astral era, when people discovered that they can record a national phenomenon as a math equations. Not long after that, the said equation became the geometry trade to the streamline the spell casting process, and this is how arcane geometry was born.
Then it was passed on from generation to generations and evolved over times. The Allagan with their advanced knowledge and technologies create Summoner, and the Nemean combine their Art of War with Arcanima to create Scholar. We can see that the healing spells of Scholar is not like those of White Mage or Astrologant, because instead of focusing on healing wounds, they also add a proactive measure to it as well. Though it does decrease their healing effectiveness, but because of their role that have to be at the forefronts of battles, this additional protection is a must. However, when you see a Scholar on the battlefield, you only see half of the puzzle, as the other half of it is their little fairy friends. Other than the powerful protection spell that they have, Scholar is also known for their companion that help them heal their allies in the midst of chaos. At first, the fairy was meant just to be a messenger for military coordinations, but soon the Scholar realized that this elemental being can do much more than that. They started implement them into their strategies on the battlefields and relegate some of the healing duties onto the companion, which allows Scholar to take the roles of strategist more effectively. This relationship between Scholar and their fairies then become a unique duo that no other school of healers can replicate.
To Scholar, their fairies more than the summons. They are their allies, their friends, and some might consider them as a family. Normally, the summon created from ether cannot operate on their own will, but in this case of the Scholar fairies, they are exceptions, because they do have their own personality and their own thought, and almost every Scholar understands their own fairy, even though they can't speak.
Now that we talk about their magic and their companion, let us now direct our attention to their gear. Scholar clothing is always designed with on-field operations in mind, because they will be present on the battlefield to guide and support the front line. From top to bottom, the clothing enable full range of movement while still offer a moderate degrees of protections. These thigh boots from Abato set are a great example of it. However, most of the pieces offer protections. The exception to this principle is the headpiece of all this outfit. Mortarboard can be spotted in all of these sets. It is said that the mortarboard may not serve as a protection piece, but a strong signifying symbol that could give heart to entire battalions of Royal Marines in battles. Moreover, it is a symbol of their purpose to Scholar, as they swore to devote their life to never-ending learning. While every outfit that we have looked so far serves the same purpose, which is to allow Scholar to do their jobs as best as they can and arguably look similar to each other. The one exception to this is the servant set. Mr. Suvo, why is this specific set unique from others?
So, here is the thing. What makes it special is a crystal tube that is attached here on the wrist. It acts as a storage for the ether to amplify users' magic. But because the ether is being stored in an artificial container and not floating in the air like the ambient ether, it will require some skill to be able to manipulate it on command.
Right, I also find that it is an interesting concept. The ability to have a prime ether storage whenever you go is such a convenience. But judging from the size of the containers and its material, I don't think I can wear it even just for an hour long.
And yes, your observation is correct. The container is not light by any means, and you have two of them. Also, we don't have any confirmation on the actual usage of this uniform. So, it's very likely that this uniform has stayed in the research lab since it was created.
Scholar shows us that no matter how great the problem is, there is always a solution to it. With their fairies companion to aid their allies and their deep knowledge in Art of War, Scholar is a great asset to any adventuring party. If you ever have a chance to meet one of them in your next adventures, take heart that no matter how chaotic or hopeless the fight is, they are always one move ahead, and it is only a matter of time until their carefully calculated plan bloom into a glorious victory.